Listen, this is not a soft conversation. This is the one that hits you in the chest. You built this life. Now fix it. Nobody else did this. Not your friends, not your family, not the government, not luck. You made decisions, small ones, big ones, lazy ones, emotional ones, and brick by brick, choice by choice, you built the life you're living right now. And here's the truth most people run from. If you built it, you can rebuild it. Stop waiting for somebody to come save you. That rescue you're praying for, it's not coming. Life doesn't work like that. You don't get rewarded for sitting still and hoping things change. You get rewarded for getting up, owning your mess, and putting your hands back on the wheel. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you look around and think, this is not what I wanted. Good. That discomfort, that's your wake-up call. That's life tapping you on the shoulder saying, you ready to do something about it? Because here's the deal, nothing changes until you do. You can't keep blaming your past while expecting a better future. You can't keep repeating the same habits and expect a different outcome. That's not life, that's a loop, and you've been stuck in it because it's comfortable. Painful but familiar, but growth is uncomfortable. Growth demands discipline. Growth demands that you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I need to do better. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, you built this routine. You built these habits. You built these excuses. And if you had the power to build it wrong, you have the power to build it right. Start small if you have to, but start. Fix your mornings. Fix your mindset. Fix the way you talk to yourself when nobody's listening. Because that voice in your head, that's the one running your life. And if that voice is full of doubt, fear, and excuses, then that's exactly what your life is going to reflect. So change the voice. Tell yourself the truth. I'm behind because I slowed down. I'm stuck because I stopped trying. I'm here because of me. That's not weakness, that's power. Because the moment you take responsibility, you take control. And once you have control, everything changes. You don't need a miracle. You need a decision to stop settling, a decision to stop avoiding, a decision to stop pretending it's okay when it's not. You built this life, every part of it. Now fix it with discipline, with focus, with relentless effort, because at the end of the day, nobody is coming to clean up your mess. But the good news, you don't need them to. You've got everything it takes. Now prove it. Let's get one thing straight. Your life didn't just happen to you. It was built piece by piece, decision by decision. Every choice you made, every time you said yes when you should said no, every time you delayed, avoided, or settled, it all added up. And now you're standing in the middle of a life that may not look like what you imagine. That truth might sting, but it's also the most powerful position you can be in, because the moment you accept that this is on you, everything changes. Blame is easy. You can blame your background, your situation, your past, the people who let you down. And maybe some of that is real. Maybe life hasn't been fair, but carrying that blame, that's what's keeping you stuck. Blame doesn't build anything. It only delays your growth. The longer you hold on to it, the longer you stay exactly where you are. Ownership, though, that's different. Ownership is power. When you say, this is my responsibility, you're not putting yourself down, you're stepping up. You're taking the wheel back. You're saying, if my choices got me here, then my choices can get me out. That's where transformation begins. Not in motivation, not in wishing, but in full, raw honesty with yourself. You have to look at your life without filters. Look at your habits. Look at your discipline. Look at how you spend your time, who you surround yourself with, what you tolerate. Stop sugarcoating it. Stop making excuses for it. The truth might be uncomfortable, but it's also the foundation for change. Because if you keep lying to yourself, nothing improves. You can't fix what you refuse to face. Taking ownership doesn't mean beating yourself up. It means telling yourself the truth without running from it. It means saying, I could have done better, and now I will. That shift right there, separates people who stay stuck from people who rise. And here's the powerful part. Once you own it, nobody can take that control away from you. You're no longer waiting on someone else to change your situation. You're no longer stuck hoping things get better. You become the one who makes things better. That's where confidence is born, not from success, but from responsibility. Because now every move you make has intention. Every step forward is something you chose, not something you waited for. You stop reacting to life and you start directing it. So stand up and face it. No more excuses, no more pointing fingers, no more waiting for perfect conditions. This is your life. You built it. Now take ownership and start rebuilding it the way it's supposed to be. Let's cut through the illusion. Nobody is coming to save you. No perfect opportunity is about to fall into your lap. No person is going to walk in and fix your habits, your mindset, your discipline. That idea you've been holding on to, that one day something will change everything, that's the very thing keeping you stuck. Waiting feels safe. It gives you an excuse to delay action. You tell yourself, I'll start when things calm down, when I feel ready, when I get support, but that moment rarely comes. And while you're waiting, time is moving. Life is moving. Opportunities are passing. And you're standing still, hoping for a rescue that was never promised. Here's the reality. Successful people don't wait. They move even when they're unsure. They act even when it's uncomfortable. They don't have all the answers. They just stop using that as a reason to do nothing. Because deep down, you already know what needs to be done. You know the habits that are holding you back. You know where you've been avoiding responsibility. You know the work you've been putting off. The problem isn't a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of action. And waiting only makes that gap bigger. Every day you delay, you're reinforcing the same cycle. You're telling yourself it's okay to stay where you are. And over time, that becomes your identity. Someone who thinks about change but never commits to it. That's a dangerous place to live, because life doesn't reward intention, it rewards execution. You don't get results for what you plan to do. You get results for what you actually do. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to break that pattern. Not because you can't, but because you've trained yourself not to. So break it. Right now, stop waiting for motivation. It's unreliable. Stop waiting for confidence. It comes after you take action, not before. Stop waiting for someone to push you. You don't need a push, you need a decision. A decision that says, I'm done waiting. When you make that decision, something shifts. You stop looking outside for solutions and start looking within. You stop asking, who's going to help me? And start asking, what can I do right now? And that question changes everything, because there is always something you can do. A small step, a better choice, a disciplined action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. That's how momentum starts. Not with a big breakthrough, but with a simple move in the right direction. And once you start moving, you realize something powerful. You were never stuck because of your situation. You were stuck because you were waiting. So stop waiting. Nobody is coming to save you. And that's not bad news. That's freedom, because it means you don't have to depend on anyone. You've got the ability, you've got the control. Now get up and go to work. Look at your life closely. Strip away the excuses, the stories, the justifications, and what you'll find is this. Your habits built everything you see right now. Not one big decision, not one moment of luck or failure, but the small, repeated actions you chose every single day. That's what shaped your reality. People love to focus on big changes, big goals, big dreams, but they ignore the engine behind all of it, the daily routine. What you do when nobody's watching, how you spend your mornings, what you do with your time when you're tired, bored, or distracted. Those moments matter more than anything else, because habits don't argue. They don't care about your intentions. They simply execute. If your habit is to procrastinate, you will delay. If your habit is to quit when it gets hard, you will stop. If your habit is to choose comfort over growth, you will stay stuck. And the dangerous part, it feels normal. It feels automatic. You don't even question it anymore. You just live it. That's how people wake up one day and wonder how they ended up so far from where they wanted to be. It wasn't overnight. It was repetition. Every time you hit snooze instead of getting up, every time you chose scrolling over learning, every time you avoided the hard work and told yourself, I'll do it later, you were casting votes for the life you have now. And now you're living with the results of those votes. But here's the shift. The same system that built your current life can build a better one. Habits work both ways. If negative habits can pull you down, disciplined habits can lift you up. But it starts with awareness. You have to see what you're doing without lying to yourself. You have to identify the patterns that are keeping you stuck. Not the big, dramatic problems, the small, consistent ones. That's where real change happens. You don't fix your life in one day. You fix it in daily decisions. You fix it by choosing to show up when you don't feel like it, by doing the work even when nobody's clapping for you, by staying consistent when it's boring, slow, and uncomfortable. That's the difference between people who talk about change and people who actually live it, because motivation fades. Discipline stays. You're not going to feel inspired every day. Some days you'll feel tired, distracted, even doubtful. But if your habits are strong, you don't need to feel ready. You just act. That's power. So instead of asking, how do I change my life? Start asking, what do I do every day? Because that answer will tell you everything. If you want a better life, build better habits. Start small if you have to, but stay consistent. One disciplined action repeated daily will outperform bursts of motivation every single time. Your life right now is a reflection of what you repeatedly do, so change what you repeat, and you'll change everything. Comfort will lie to you. It will tell you everything is fine when deep down you know it's not. It wraps itself around you like safety, but what it's really doing is keeping you in the exact same place. No growth, no progress, no change, just a slow, quiet stagnation that feels acceptable because it's familiar. That's the trap. You wake up, follow the same routine, avoid the same challenges, and justify it by saying, at least I'm okay. But okay is dangerous. Okay is where dreams go to die. It's not painful enough to force change, but it's not fulfilling enough to satisfy you either. So you sit in the middle, comfortable but unfulfilled, and days turn into months. Months turn into years. Nothing changes. The reason is simple. Growth and comfort cannot exist in the same space. The moment you choose comfort, you automatically reject growth, because growth requires effort. It requires stretching beyond what feels easy. It demands that you face resistance, uncertainty, and sometimes failure, and most people avoid that. They avoid the hard conversations. They avoid the discipline. They avoid the risk of looking foolish or failing. So they stay where it's safe, even if that safety is slowly holding them back from becoming who they're meant to be. But here's the truth. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when things challenge you. You grow when you wake up early, even though your body says stay in bed. You grow when you put in the work, even when you don't feel like it. You grow when you take risks, face rejection, and keep going anyway. That discomfort you're avoiding, that's the doorway. On the other side of it is everything you say you want. Confidence, success, progress, self-respect. But you don't get access to those things by staying comfortable. You earn them by stepping into what feels difficult. And let's be real. It's not going to feel good at first. Breaking out of your comfort zone will feel unnatural. Your mind will resist it. It will try to pull you back into old patterns because that's what it knows. But just because something feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. Most of the time, it means you're finally doing something different. And different is exactly what you need. If you keep doing what's easy, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. Same habits, same results, same frustrations. But the moment you decide to lean into discomfort, everything starts to shift. You begin to build resilience. You start proving to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. Your confidence grows, not because things are easy, but because you're facing things head on. That's how transformation happens, not in comfort, but in challenge. So stop running from discomfort. Stop choosing what's easy over what's necessary. Step into the hard work, the discipline, the uncertainty, because that's where your next level is waiting. Pay attention to the conversation happening inside your head, because whether you realize it or not, that voice is shaping your entire life. Every action you take or don't take starts there. Before you move, before you decide, before you try, there's a thought. And if that thought is filled with doubt, fear, or excuses, it will stop you before you even begin. That's how powerful your mind is. You can have opportunities in front of you, talent within you, and potential all around you, but if your inner voice keeps saying, I can't, I'm not ready, what if I fail? Then none of it gets used. You stay stuck, not because you lack ability, but because your thinking is working against you. And here's the dangerous part, it becomes normal. You start believing that voice, you start accepting those thoughts as facts instead of questioning them. Over time, they turn into your identity. You don't just think you're not capable, you start acting like it. You don't just feel unsure, live cautiously, avoiding risks, avoiding growth, avoiding anything that challenges that belief. That's how people limit themselves without even realizing it. But the truth is, that voice is not fixed. It's trained. It's the result of what you've repeated to yourself over time, what you've focused on, what you've allowed to take root in your mind. And just like it was trained one way, it can be trained another way. But it takes intention. You can't just hope your mindset improves. You have to work on it. You have to start catching those negative thoughts the moment they show up. Not ignoring them, not pretending they're not there, but confronting them. When your mind says, I'm not good enough, you challenge it. When it says, this is too hard, you respond with, that's why I need to do it. When it says, I'll do it later, you answer with, no, I act now. That's how you take control. Because if you don't control your mind, it will control you. And it will always choose the easy path, the safe option, the comfortable excuse. It's designed to protect you, not to grow you. So if you want growth, you have to override that default setting. You have to become intentional about what you tell yourself. Start feeding your mind with better input. What you watch, what you listen to, who you spend time with, it all shapes your thinking. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, your mind will reflect that. But if you surround yourself with discipline, growth, and strong perspectives, your thinking begins to shift. And once your thinking shifts, your actions follow, because you start believing you can handle more. You start trusting yourself to figure things out. You stop running from challenges and start stepping into them with a different mindset. That's where real confidence comes from, not from external validation, but from internal control. When your mind is aligned with your goals, everything changes. You stop hesitating. You stop doubting every move. You start acting with purpose. So guard that voice. Train it. Strengthen it. Because the way you talk to yourself today is creating the life you'll live tomorrow. At some point, all the thinking, planning, and overanalyzing has to stop, and a decision has to be made. Not a weak, half-hearted, I'll try, but a firm, unshakable decision that says, this is where it changes. Because nothing in your life moves until you do. Ideas don't change your situation. Intentions don't change your situation. Action does. And the truth is, you've delayed action long enough. You've told yourself you'll start tomorrow. You've waited for the perfect moment, the right mood, the ideal conditions. But that moment doesn't exist. There is no perfect time. There is only now, and what you choose to do with it. Every second you hesitate, you're reinforcing the same cycle that's been holding you back. You're strengthening the habit of delay. And over time, that delay becomes your identity. Someone who wants change, talks about change, but never commits to it. That's not who you want to be. So the shift starts with a decision, a real one. The kind that cuts off excuses, the kind that doesn't negotiate with laziness or fear, the kind that says, no matter how I feel, I'm moving forward. Because feelings are unreliable. Some days you'll feel motivated. Most days you won't. If you wait for motivation, you'll stay stuck. But when you truly decide, you remove that dependency. You act because you said you would, not because you feel like it. That's discipline. And once the decision is made, it has to be backed by action, immediate action. Not next week, not after one more break, right now. Even if it's small, even if it feels insignificant, it matters. Because action creates momentum. Momentum is what carries you forward when motivation fades. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one day. That's another trap, thinking everything has to be perfect from the start. It doesn't. What matters is that you begin. One task completed, one habit corrected, one step taken in the right direction. That's how progress starts. And once you take that first step, something powerful happens. You prove to yourself that you can move, that you're not stuck, that you're capable of change. That belief builds with every action you take, but here's the key. You have to stay consistent. One decision isn't enough. One burst of effort isn't enough. You have to show up again and again, especially on the days when it's hard, when it's boring, when it feels like nothing is happening. Because that's where most people quit. That's where most people go back to old patterns. Don't stay with it. Trust the process. Keep moving, because success isn't built on one big moment. It's built on repeated action over time. So stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop negotiating with yourself. Make the decision. Take the action. And keep going. Because your life isn't going to change until you do, and that change starts the moment you move.